Welcome back to the channel, Coin Collectors. Today, we are looking at 6 of the most valuable and collectible United States Eisenhower $1 coins, covering different dates, mint marks, varieties, conditions, and spectacular error examples. The Eisenhower Dollar was produced from 1971 through 1978 and is one of the most fascinating modern U.S. dollar series. Most examples are not worth a fortune, but exceptional condition, scarce varieties, silver issues, and major mint errors can transform an ordinary-looking Ike dollar into a coin worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Current auction records show just how wide the market can be, with some exceptional Eisenhower dollars reaching 5-figure prices. So let's get started. First up, the 1977 D Eisenhower $1, a fascinating large-size American coin that continues to attract collectors. The D mint mark tells us that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, and the 1977 D issue had a substantial mintage of 32,983,006 coins. So while the ordinary circulated example is not automatically a rare fortune, collectors become much more interested when they encounter a sharply preserved coin, an unusual variety, or especially a genuine minting error. In today's video, we will explore the history, design, important features, rarity, collector demand, and realistic market values of the 1977 D Eisenhower Dollar, including the extraordinary prices that have been achieved by exceptional examples and rare errors. The Eisenhower Dollar was introduced in 1971 to honor Dwight D. Eisenhower, the former U.S. President and World War II military leader. The coin was designed by Frank Gasparo, with the reverse based on the Apollo 11 mission insignia. That connection gives the Eisenhower Dollar a special place in American history because the reverse celebrates one of the most important achievements of the space age. The 1977 D dollar belongs to the later part of the original Eisenhower Dollar series, which ran from 1971 through 1978. The regular 1977 D circulation coin was made from copper nickel-clad material over a copper center, rather than being a traditional 90% silver dollar. PCGS lists the coin at approximately 38.50 mm in diameter and 22.70 grams in weight. Because of its large size and distinctive design, the Eisenhower Dollar remains a favorite among collectors who enjoy classic modern U.S. coinage. One of the first things that makes the 1977 D Eisenhower Dollar stand out is its impressive size. On the obverse, collectors will find the portrait of Dwight D. Eisenhower facing left, along with the date and inscriptions identifying the United States and the denomination. Look carefully below Eisenhower's neck, and you can find the small D mint mark, identifying the Denver Mint. The reverse is equally impressive, showing an eagle flying above the lunar surface with the Earth visible in the distance, surrounded by the inscriptions United States of America and $1. The edge is reeded, and the regular 1977 D issue is composed of copper nickel clad over a copper core. For collectors, conditions are extremely important. A heavily circulated example can show scratches, contact marks, dull surfaces, and loss of original detail, while a high-grade example can preserve much sharper design elements and stronger mint luster. That difference in preservation can have a major effect on collector interest and selling price. Now we reach the part that makes this coin especially interesting. The 1977 D Eisenhower Dollar is not considered rare simply because it is nearly 50 years old. Its mintage of more than 32 million means that ordinary examples survived in significant numbers. PCGS also notes that the 1977 D remains available in mint state because it was included in the 1977 United States Mint uncirculated coin set, with more than 2 million sets sold. However, rarity can become much more complicated when we look at conditions, exceptional grades, varieties, and errors. A normal circulated 1977 D should not automatically be advertised as a thousands of dollar coin. The real excitement comes from finding an example that combines outstanding preservation with a recognized rarity or major mint error. The most dramatic example is the famous 1977 D Eisenhower Dollar struck on a 40% silver planchet. PCGS reports that only approximately 10 to 15 examples are believed to exist, making this one of the major rarities associated with the Eisenhower Dollar series. This is completely different from simply owning a normal 1977 D dollar. Another extraordinary example is documented by Graysheet, a 1977 D dollar struck on a 40% silver planchet sold for $26,400 at Heritage Auctions on January 12, 2023 = graded in GCMS 62. That result demonstrates how a genuine, authenticated mint error can transform an otherwise ordinary date and mint mark into a major auction coin. It is important, however, not to assume that every 1977 D Eisenhower $1 is worth $94 million. The exceptional auction prices belong to exceptional coins. So, what could a 1977 D Eisenhower dollar in very fine condition actually be worth? Current market references show that ordinary 1977 D examples generally command modest premiums depending on condition. One current price guide lists a very fine example around the range, while higher circulated and mint state grades can move upward substantially. These figures should be viewed as market estimates rather than guaranteed selling prices, because actual value depends on appeal, authentication, grading, demand, and where the coin is sold for $72 million. For a normal very fine 1977 D Eisenhower dollar, the most important message is that age alone does not make it a $84 million coin. However, collectors should never stop at the basic date and mint mark. High-grade examples can bring much stronger prices. For example, a 1977 DMS65 PCGS example sold for about $11.59 in a 2024 eBay auction recorded by PCGS, while other auction records show substantially higher prices for better grades and special pieces. A 1977 DMS67 NGC example sold for $62 million in December 2025, while another MS67 example sold for $456,000 million in November 2025. PCGS also records an extraordinary historical auction result of $12,925, although that record is associated with an exceptional coin and should not be used as the expected value of a normal very fine specimen. The lesson is simple. Condition and rarity can completely change the market story. If you have a 1977 D Eisenhower dollar, start by examining it carefully under good lighting. Confirm the date, locate the D mint mark beneath Eisenhower's portrait, and inspect the surfaces for unusual characteristics. Avoid cleaning or polishing the coin, because harsh cleaning can damage its original surfaces and reduce collector appeal. If the coin appears unusually sharp, has exceptional luster, or seems to contain an unusual minting error, consider having it examined by a reputable professional or major grading service. This is particularly important if you believe you have a possible silver planchet error, because a genuine example can be extraordinarily valuable while an ordinary copper nickel-clad coin is worth far less. Always compare your coin with documented auction records rather than relying on sensational online claims. Remember, a coin being old, large, or called rare online does not automatically make it valuable. The 1977 D Eisenhower dollar is a fascinating piece of American history, combining the legacy of President Dwight D. Eisenhower with the excitement of the Apollo space program. Although millions were produced, truly exceptional examples, top-grade coins, recognized varieties, and especially major mint errors can attract serious collector attention. A normal very fine 1977 D should be viewed realistically, with current guides placing ordinary VF examples in the tens of dollars rather than automatically in the thousands. But the remarkable auction results for exceptional coins show why collectors continue searching through old collections, rolls, and inherited coin accumulations. So before you spend or sell your 1977 D Eisenhower dollar, take a second look. Check the condition, check the mint mark, examine the surfaces, and most importantly, check for genuine errors. You might not have a $26,400 million rarity, but discovering a special example could make your ordinary-looking Eisenhower dollar a very interesting addition to your collection. Next up, the 1776 to 1976 D Eisenhower dollar, also known as the bicentennial Eisenhower dollar. If you have one of these large dollar coins sitting in an old collection, a drawer, or a box of coins, don't spend it before taking a closer look. The 1976 D Eisenhower dollar carries the historic dual dates 1776 to 1976, the D mint mark representing the Denver Mint, and a special reverse celebrating the 200th anniversary of American independence. But there is one important point to remember: a dirty or circulated example is generally not a multi-thousand-dollar coin. The biggest auction prices are associated with exceptionally preserved, high-grade examples and particular varieties. Even so, this coin is fascinating, collectible, and worth examining carefully. The Eisenhower dollar was introduced in 1971 to honor Dwight D. Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States and a famous military leader of World War II. In 1975 and 1976, The United States Mint produced special bicentennial versions carrying the dual dates 1776 to 1976 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of American independence. The Denver Mint struck a large number of the 1976 D coins, and the D Mint mark can be found on the obverse. NGC records a mintage of 21,048,710 for the 1976 D Type 1 issue. These coins were made from copper nickel-clad material rather than being solid silver, with a standard weight of approximately 22.68 grams and a diameter of about 38.1 millimeters. The design is what makes this dollar especially memorable. On the obverse, you can see the portrait of Dwight D. Eisenhower facing left, along with the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the special dual dates 1776 to 1976. The small d mint mark identifies Denver as the producing mint. On the reverse, instead of the normal eagle and moon design used on other Eisenhower dollars, the bicentennial issue features a powerful patriotic design with the Liberty Bell and the moon, surrounded by the inscription United States of America and the denomination $1. The reverse was designed by Dennis R. Williams, while the obverse portrait was based on Frank Gasparo's Eisenhower design. Another fascinating feature is that the bicentennial reverse exists in Type 1 and Type 2 varieties, making variety identification an important part of collecting these coins. Now let's talk about rarity, because this is where many coin videos can become misleading. A normal dirty, circulated 1976 D Eisenhower dollar is not automatically a rare fortune coin simply because it carries the bicentennial dates. NGC's July 2026 guide indicates circulated 1976 D Type 1 examples around $81 million depending on condition. However, the story changes dramatically when we move into exceptional uncirculated grades and desirable varieties. Collectors particularly pay attention to coins with strong strikes, attractive surfaces, original luster, and very high certified grades. The population becomes much smaller as the grade increases, and that scarcity can create strong competition among serious Eisenhower dollar collectors. The 1976 D Eisenhower dollar actually be worth? If your coin is dirty, circulated, scratched, or heavily worn, its realistic value may be close to face value, generally around the low dollar range rather than sold for $12 million. But high-grade examples tell a completely different story. PCGS auction records show a 1976 D Type 2 MS67 selling for $504 in December 2025, while another MS67 example sold for $3,600 million at a Stacksbauer's auction in March 2021. Other exceptional MS67 examples have brought prices such as $2,015 and $2,990 at auction. These results demonstrate why condition and variety matter so much. A dirty circulated coin should not be valued like a certified MS67 coin, but an unusually well-preserved example deserves much closer attention. If you own one of these coins, the first thing you should do is do not clean it. Dirt or discoloration may make a coin look unattractive, but aggressive cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and potentially reduce collector appeal. Instead, examine the date, the D Mint mark, the details of the Liberty Bell and moon reverse, and the overall condition under good lighting. Pay particular attention to whether your coin is Type 1 or Type 2, because varieties can have very different collector interest. If the coin appears unusually sharp and well preserved with strong original surfaces, professional grading may be worth considering. And remember, auction records are examples of what specific certified coins actually sold for. They should not be treated as a guaranteed price for every 1976 D Eisenhower dollar. The 1776 to 1976 D Eisenhower bicentennial dollar is a fantastic piece of American history, combining the legacy of Dwight D. Eisenhower with the celebration of America's 200th anniversary. While an ordinary dirty or circulated example usually does not bring a huge premium, the coin becomes much more exciting when you discover an uncommon variety or an exceptionally high-grade specimen. Certified high-grade Type 2 examples have reached hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction, proving that condition and rarity can make an enormous difference. Next up, the 1974 Eisenhower $1 coin without a mint mark, especially examples found in circulated or dirty condition. This large American dollar is a fascinating piece of U.S. history, and while most ordinary 1974 Philadelphia Eisenhower dollars are not extremely rare, certain high-grade examples, unusual varieties, and genuine mint errors can attract much stronger collector interest. So, before spending or dismissing one of these coins, it is worth understanding exactly what you have. The 1974 no-mint mark Eisenhower Dollar was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. An official collecting references list a mintage of 27,366,000 pieces. The Eisenhower Dollar was introduced in 1971 to honor President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States and the Supreme Allied Commander in Europe during World War II. The coin was also connected with the historic Apollo 11 moon landing, with the reverse design featuring an eagle approaching the moon. The Eisenhower Dollar became the first large U.S. dollar coin issued for circulation since the peace dollar era, making it an important part of modern American coinage history. In 1974, Philadelphia produced millions of standard copper nickel-clad Eisenhower dollars. Unlike coins from Denver, which normally carry a D mint mark, the Philadelphia coins of this period were produced without a mint mark. Therefore, seeing no mint mark on a genuine 1974 Eisenhower dollar is not automatically an error or rarity. It is the normal characteristic of the Philadelphia issue. The 1974 Eisenhower dollar is an impressive coin simply because of its size. It has a diameter of approximately 38.1 millimeters, weighs about 22.68 grams, and has a reeded edge. The obverse features a portrait of President Dwight D. Eisenhower facing left, while the reverse carries the famous eagle and moon design associated with the Apollo 11 mission. Both sides were designed by Frank Gasparo. The regular 1974 Philadelphia issue is made from copper nickel-clad copper rather than being a silver dollar. This distinction is extremely important because collectors sometimes confuse the regular 1974 no-mint mark coin with special 1974 Eisenhower issues from San Francisco. The standard Philadelphia issue is therefore interesting primarily because of its history, condition, varieties, and possible errors, not because it is made of silver. The 1974 no-mint mark Eisenhower dollar actually rare? The answer depends heavily on condition. With more than 27 million Philadelphia pieces produced, an ordinary circulated example is not considered a major rarity. In fact, current NGC information places circulated examples around roughly $1.05 to $1.50, depending on grade. However, the story becomes much more interesting when the coin is exceptionally well preserved. High-grade coins with strong luster, sharp details, clean surfaces, and attractive eye appeal can become considerably more desirable. Collectors building complete Eisenhower dollar sets often compete for the finest examples, and population rarity at the highest grades can have a dramatic effect on prices. This is why two coins with exactly the same date and no mint mark can have completely different market values. Another important factor is the possibility of a genuine mint-made error or unusual variety. Auction records show that certified 1974 Eisenhower dollars with unusual striking characteristics have sold for substantially more than ordinary examples. For instance, public auction records include a 1974 Eisenhower dollar with an adverse struck-through reading error that sold for $94, while another with a dramatic double strike and approximately 95% off-center second strike sold for $456,000 million. These examples demonstrate why collectors carefully examine unusual coins instead of automatically assuming every strange mark is damage. At the same time, ordinary scratches, dents, stains, corrosion, cleaning, and environmental damage generally do not make a coin rare. The 1974 Eisenhower dollar without a mint mark be worth today? For an ordinary circulated and dirty example, the realistic value is generally close to face value, with NGC's July 2026 guide indicating approximately sold for $98 million. 50 for circulated grades. That means a dirty coin should not automatically be advertised as a thousands of dollars rarity. However, high-grade certified examples tell a very different story. Recent auction records show a 1974 Eisenhower dollar graded MS-64 by PCG is selling for $49 in April 2026, while a high-quality MS-67 NGC example sold for $71 million at Heritage Auctions in March 2026. These results illustrate the enormous difference that condition and certification can make. There are also auction records for other grades that help put the market into perspective. A 1974 Eisenhower dollar graded MS-65 by NGC sold for $65 at Stacksbowers in August 2024, while an MS-63 NGC example recorded a $7 sale at Great Collections. These prices show that the market is not simply based on the age of the coin. Instead, collectors and auction buyers pay for quality, scarcity within a grade, attractive surfaces, strong strikes, recognized errors, and certification. The highest prices should therefore be viewed as exceptional results rather than the normal value of every 1974 no-mint mark Eisenhower dollar. If you own a dirty 1974 Eisenhower dollar without a mint mark, the first and most important advice is do not clean it aggressively. Cleaning can leave scratches and unnatural surfaces that may reduce collector appeal. Instead, carefully inspect the date, the absence of a mint mark, the portrait, the reverse design, and the edge. Look for unusual doubling, dramatic off-center striking, missing design elements, major die problems, or other characteristics that appear to have originated at the mint. Remember that a strange-looking mark is not automatically a valuable error. Many unusual marks are simply damage that happened after the coin left the mint. Condition is also extremely important. A coin that has spent decades circulating may have scratches, contact marks, discoloration, and worn details, while a coin preserved since 1974 can potentially survive in a much higher grade. If your coin appears unusually sharp and well preserved, or if you believe it has a genuine major mint error, professional authentication and grading may be worth considering. Compare it with reliable auction records rather than relying on sensational online claims that every old Eisenhower dollar is worth $91 million. The 1974 Eisenhower $1 without a mint mark is a fascinating piece of American history. It represents the Philadelphia Mint, carries the portrait of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, and features the famous Apollo-era eagle and moon design. Although the normal circulated coin is not an extremely rare treasure, its collector potential can rise dramatically when exceptional condition, high certification grades, or genuine mint errors are involved. Current market information shows ordinary circulated examples around the $1 range, while exceptional certified pieces and major errors have reached hundreds or even more than $1,000 at auction. Next up, the 1978 D. Eisenhower $1 coin in black or heavily darkened condition. This coin carries a D mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Denver Mint, and it belongs to the final year of the regular Eisenhower Dollar series. While a dark or dirty appearance by itself does not make a coin rare, the 1978 D. Eisenhower Dollar becomes much more interesting when we consider its condition, surviving population, high-grade examples, and unusual mint-made errors. The Denver Mint produced just over 33 million Eisenhower dollars in 1978, but many entered casinos and other heavy-use environments, making truly gem-quality survivors considerably more difficult to find. The Eisenhower dollar was introduced in 1971 as a tribute to President Dwight D. Eisenhower and as a celebration of the United States space program. Its reverse design shows an eagle flying above the moon, representing the historic Apollo 11 mission, while the obverse displays Eisenhower's portrait facing left. The 1978 issue is especially interesting because it represents the last regular year of the Eisenhower Dollar series, which makes the date an important part of the collection for people who want a complete run from 1971 through 1978. The D beneath Eisenhower's neck identifies the Denver Mint. The regular circulation version is a copper nickel-clad coin, not a solid silver dollar. This distinction is important because some online listings can incorrectly describe ordinary Eisenhower dollars as silver simply because they are large and have a silver-colored appearance. The 1978 D issue has a fascinating history because large numbers of Eisenhower dollars were used in casinos and other commercial environments. According to NGC, many 1978 D dollars made their way to Las Vegas and Atlantic City slot machines, where they experienced significant handling and abuse. That history helps explain why finding a truly attractive, untouched example can be much harder than simply finding the date itself. The 1978 D Eisenhower dollar is instantly recognizable because of its impressive size. The coin measures about 38.1 millimeters across and weighs approximately 22.68 grams. On the front, you will see President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the word Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the date 1978. Just below the portrait is the distinctive D mint mark, identifying Denver as the production facility. On the reverse is the dramatic Apollo 11-inspired eagle design, surrounded by United States of America, E pluribus unum, and $1. These features make the 1978 D an unmistakable final-year Eisenhower dollar and an important piece of modern American coinage history. Now, if your 1978 D coin looks black, dark brown, gray, or heavily stained, it is important to understand what you are seeing. Dark coloration can result from age, storage conditions, environmental exposure, dirt, toning, or other forms of surface alteration. A black appearance does not automatically mean the coin is rare or valuable. In fact, collectors generally pay much more attention to coins with original surfaces, strong details, attractive luster, and minimal damage. Therefore, the most exciting situation is when a seemingly ordinary dark coin turns out to have unusually sharp details underneath the discoloration or reveals a genuine mint-made characteristic. The biggest story surrounding the 1978 Eisenhower dollar is not that every example is rare. Instead, the real opportunity is found in condition of rarity. NGC notes that gem examples can be difficult to locate and that many of the best survivors are found in sealed mint sets. Its census data shows a large concentration of certified examples in MS65, with progressively fewer pieces at the highest grades. NGC's current census lists examples as high as MS67, illustrating how important conditions become when collectors compete for the finest surviving coins. This is where collector demand can become much stronger. Imagine two 1978 Eisenhower dollars sitting side by side. One is heavily circulated, dark, scratched, and worn. The other has brilliant original surfaces, sharp details, excellent luster, and an extremely high certified grade. They share the same date and mint mark, but they can have dramatically different market values. Collectors assembling high-grade Eisenhower sets are often willing to pay premiums for coins that are difficult to replace at the same grade. The auction market provides real evidence of this difference. PCGS auction records show a 1978 Eisenhower dollar graded MS66 by NGC selling for $458,000 million, while another MS66 example sold for $51 at Great Collections. An MS64 example recorded a $15 auction result, while an MS65 example recorded an $18 sale in an older transaction. These records show that certified high-grade examples can trade above face value, although individual results vary according to grade, eye appeal, certification, timing, and buyer demand. The 1978 Eisenhower dollar actually be worth? For a normal circulated example, NGC's July 2026 price guide gives a range of approximately $1.05 to $1.50. That means a black, dirty, heavily circulated 1978 coin should generally not be described as a sell for $15 million dollar coin simply because it is old or has a dark appearance. Its value depends on what is actually unusual about it. However, the market becomes much more interesting at the high end. NGC's information indicates that pristine examples can command substantially higher prices, with its guide noting that certain pristine 1978 pieces can reach several $1,000s. This is an important distinction. Those spectacular values are associated with exceptional, certified coins, not ordinary black or circulated examples. The auction records tell the same story. A certified MS64 example sold for $15 million, while MS66 examples have brought $45 and $51. These are real recorded transactions, but they should not be interpreted as guaranteed future prices. Auction results change constantly, and a coin's grade and quality can make a major difference. If your 1978 Eisenhower dollar is black or extremely dirty, the most important thing is not to assume that its dark color creates a premium. Instead, examine whether the darkness is natural toning, environmental damage, or removable surface dirt, and look carefully for genuine mint errors or varieties. A dramatic mint-made error can be much more collectible than ordinary discoloration. The strongest values generally come from coins that combine scarcity, authenticity, exceptional preservation, and strong collector demand. If you have a 1978 Eisenhower dollar in black or dirty condition, handle it carefully and avoid aggressive cleaning. Scrubbing, polishing, rubbing, or using harsh chemicals can permanently damage the original surface and may make the coin less desirable to collectors. Even if the coin looks unattractive today, its original surfaces are part of its history and should be preserved whenever possible. Instead of trying to make the coin look new, first document its condition with clear photographs and examine both sides under good lighting. The D mint mark, the date, the lettering, the eagle and moon design, and the overall condition of the surfaces. Look for unusual striking characteristics that appear to have occurred during production rather than after the coin entered circulation. Be careful, because scratches, gouges, dents, stains, corrosion, and damage caused by machines are not automatically mint errors. If you believe your coin has a major error or appears exceptionally well preserved beneath the dark surface, professional examination and certification may be worthwhile. Most importantly, compare your coin with actual sold auction records, not simply online asking prices. Sellers can list ordinary coins for enormous amounts, but an asking price does not prove that collectors are willing to pay that amount. Certified auction records provide a much better indication of what buyers have actually paid. NGC itself also warns that auction prices are only one measure of value and that collectors should perform appropriate due diligence before making a transaction. The 1978 Eisenhower $1 is a fascinating final year American dollar with an important connection to President Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Apollo era, and the history of large U.S. dollar coins. Its Denver D-Mint mark makes it easy to identify, while its large size and iconic eagle and moon reverse make it one of the most recognizable modern American coins. A black or dirty example may look mysterious, but darkness alone does not make the coin rare. The real excitement comes from discovering an unusually well-preserved specimen, a high certified grade, or a genuine mint-made error. The market demonstrates just how dramatically condition can affect value. Ordinary circulated examples can remain close to face value, while certified high-grade examples have brought tens of dollars and exceptional pieces can command much more.